Nigerians have quite a polarizing views about what's happening in the aftermath of Senator Natasha's fallout in the Nigerian Senate. The recall process, we've seen multiple developments there, some of it not necessarily tidy enough, but we've seen the courts get involved, an injunction to stop the process, and then another ruling that pretty much set aside that injunction, clearing the way for INEC to participate in any official capacity for the recall process. What does this mean for Nigeria's democracy and good governance? We're going to be speaking to two gentlemen who would provide us with some analysis on this one and how it shapes Nigeria's political discourse. Armsfree Ajanaku is the Executive Director of the Grassroots Center for Rights and Civic Orientation, and Adbulrazak Mamman is the spokesperson for Say No to Violence in Ibrahim, and he's also a political analyst. So, two gentlemen who are close enough to the fire, one from Kogi, one from the Civic Society space, with an understanding of this issue. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. Thank you so much for joining me on the program today.
Good morning to our viewers.
Right. Let's start with you, Mr. Mamman. Obviously, being from Kogi, you definitely have an opinion about what is happening in the case of Senator Natasha. The recall process has been in the news for the past couple of days. Where do you stand on this?
Once again, good morning, viewers. The trending matter of recall is unfortunate, pathetic, and worrisome, because the Nigerian state right now, there are issues of national importance, such as economy, security, inclusivity, so many global trends that should shape our focus. Senator Natasha has become a tiger in the face of the 10th Assembly. This is, results from her emergence as the first female senator from Kogi State. She went through a lot. You can even call it a lot of persecution. Coming as the first female senator from opposition, where you had then, ruling party very aggressive and cruel to dissenting voices. So it is not palatable where we are today, or what we are looking at. However, as one of our constituents, first let's look at recall, the process of recall. The 1999 Constitution, taking into cognizance, allows for recall with stringent conditions. Note, due processes. And what we have seen today, for example, one of the conditions of recall is that 50% of registered voters must sign a petition to the electoral umpire, which is INEC. Section 69 of 1999 Constitution, or Section 110 of 2011 Electoral Amended Act stipulates this, that 50% of the constituents must sign a petition to recall a senator or House of Representative member. And if you bring this home, Kogi State, where we are, we have over 441,000 registered voters in Kogi Central. So if you are saying 50% of that should sign a petition to recall Senator Natasha, you are going to have about 270,000 signatories to a petition. 270,000 signatories. And if you take this analogy to the last election that even produced distinguished Senator Natasha, we had 110,000 votes, in which she herself secured 54,000 votes. While the second runner-up, Engineer Abubakar Ohere, scored 51,000 votes. Others scored across 4,000 votes. 110,000 minus 441,000. That's like 18% of registered voters. So in other words, everybody that voted in that election, if they sign that petition, it will not see the light of the day.
Right, dead on arrival. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Right, but talk to me about this, Mr. Armsfree, about what this actually means for Nigeria's current democratic dispensation. We've seen this used twice in the past 6 years in one state. Senator Diniwala also survived something of a similar nature back in 2018. Talk to me about what this represents for Nigeria's political development.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abdullahi, and good morning once again to the viewers. I think what this portends for Nigeria's democracy is the fact that while there are laws in our statutes, there are provisions in the Constitution, the problem of political corruption can turn those laws upside down and then misuse those laws in ways that are downright criminal. And I say this with all sense of responsibility because I have followed this process closely. Immediately, I started seeing cues. And if you watch those videos that we saw, many people did not even know what they were there for. Many people were told that they were actually there for empowerment. And in the guise of empowerment, their signatures were being fraudulently collected. In fact, if Nigeria was a place where law and order and justice, is something or are things we care about, then there should even already be because that is almost like, what we are condemning in terms of vote buying. When you induce people, because you know that poverty has been weaponized, people are hungry, and you told people that, this is going to be a form of empowerment, and they came out to benefit from empowerment, and suddenly you are collecting signatures. So in the first instance, looking at the first step of the process, it has been corrupted. And it is, like you have it rightly said, it is dead on arrival. The second point, which is a very fundamental point, is that you can see that there is a coalition of forces which seem hell-bent on punishing Senator Natasha because she has decided to come out to speak her truth about an issue she has said she's going through in terms of the sexual harassment allegation, and without the benefit of an exhaustive, clear investigation, that issue has been swept under the carpet, and her political foes apparently want to use the recall process as a way to silence her. But for us in the civic space, this is an abuse of a legally provided instrument. It is, a corruption of a legally. So you can also see what happened, at the National Assembly, where the Constitution requires 2/3, but there was an abuse of the process because, as you can even see from today's headlines, that no quorum was even formed in the two houses.
Reportedly,
no quorum was formed, and something as weighty as that was carried out. So it is a similar thing, and we need to really be very firm in asserting and in admonition that the people who are supposed to have the pedigree of Democrats, who are degrading our democracy, who are subverting our democracy, who are are kind of taking actions that take away from the evolution of our democracy, they better be careful. Because every step of the way they are taking, they are setting a precedent. And where that precedent is going to end, nobody knows. For me, honestly, when I looked at what happened in Rivers and I tried to connect it with even this Senator Natasha's issue, that for that time in our democracy, for all the evolution we have gone through, going towards 3 decades of our evolution, we are hearing martial music. Martial music means the military is coming. That's what we are seeing in Rivers. That soldiers are coming to welcome a sole administrator. Those things are not what you should have in a democracy. And where in a democracy somebody speaks out and says, my rights have been violated, we should put first the question of determining the extent or whether those rights have been violated, and not to come and then unleash some set of people and say they want to do a recall process, which anyways is provided in the law, but in this case due process actually has not been followed.
Okay, let's talk about the rights of the constituents. It's safe to say that whether you support Natasha or not, if these citizens come out to initiate this recall process, they're well within their rights. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's what the Constitution provides for. But give me some of the feelers across some of these local governments, because we understand that 4 local government areas have already recorded some signatures so far. I think they are saying that Adavi local government is going to be next, which is one of the local governments in her district. Talk to me about the political undertones there, because we have people from PDP, people from APC reportedly jumping in on this one.
What you are seeing or you are hearing about signatures has been collected, as a petition has been written, are just fictitious, shenanigans of few people.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we should show the picture there. Perhaps maybe Adbulrazak didn't see the picture.
I do.
You've seen the videos?
I have seen. I left Kogi Central less than 48 hours ago. So whatever I'm opining here is not an abstraction of concrete reality. It is what is happening, empirical facts. The constituents, in their dream, wants to recall their senator. And a meeting was held in the Glass House. Ask me, where is the Glass House, sir?
Where is the Glass House?
Glass House is the state government, is inside the Kogi state government, Lokoja. APC stakeholders, all government officials who never voted Senator Natasha Poto-Onuaha, whose all of them together were defeated by the will, by the purposeful leadership of Natasha Poto-Onuaha, came together. Let me tell you, sir, if this sees the light of the day, I don't advise anybody to go and contest for election again. Instead, go and sit down. Let anyone go and do all the stress, pass through the stress. Go and look for money. After 6 months, set up a recall. I am telling you.
Yeah, but why is it happening? Why is it happening now?
The people.
Because the people are saying, some of the people that have spoken, some of the speakers that have spoken to the media say, listen, they cannot wait for, they think she has deviated from her mandate.
The mandate we gave her, what she has done in the last 1 year, knowing full well that distinguished Senator Natasha Poto-Onuaha never resumed with the 10th Senate. Someone else took the mandate we gave to her. But the judiciary, which I'm still very optimistic about, restore our mandate. In the last 1 year that she has been in office, she has done tremendously well for the people.
According to you?
It has been about the people. The facts are there. In the last 1 year, Senator Natasha Poto has constructed over 30,000 kilometers of road in Kogi Central alone. She has brought over 2,500 street lights. She has lighted up. In fact, we have a night market in the night now. Senator Natasha Poto has employed not less than 30 individuals in both primary and public sectors. Senator Natasha Poto would not an opposition senator. Empowerment, so everything you think of in terms of legislation, I can tell you, Senator Natasha Poto-Onuaha has successfully competed with the state government in terms of inclusivity, development, representation.
Yeah, so
the people want.
Yeah,
so that alone threatens the existence of benchwarmers in the National Assembly, who are also from Kogi State.
Right. So I
can tell you for free, sir.
Yeah, if she's such a performer, as you say, Adbulrazak, then you don't have anything to worry about.
Well, we are unworried. We are only worried about the system. Nigeria, as a giant of Africa, is democratically dramatizing today, is agriculturally backwarding today, is economically stagnating today because of high level of corruption or systemic pathology that could change 1 + 1 to 5 in your present. That is why we are worried.
Okay. In talking about the fact that
take away the corruption, the institutional pathology, Senator Natasha does not need to go home for anything. The people, let me tell you what happened day before, on the day in one of the events. You see people, armed masked men, accompanying government officials to threatening those who refuse to partake in this evil.
Allegedly.
That's the same way you go to the videos are there.
Well, we've seen some videos where where some say they were misinformed about what they were there for.
Yes.
But we've also seen videos of people genuinely expressing their dissatisfaction with her about what's been going on. But Armsfree, I just want us to make some points about what this means. She's one of 4 female senators, and we're talking about women representation in government, inclusivity, and all of that. Does this have to do with anything around the fact that she's a woman, and just as Adbulrazak said, someone who is all too familiar with attempted or alleged persecution politically?
Absolutely. We cannot, run away from that fact. And the persecution and political marginalization and the exclusion we have seen in terms of how women are fed in our political process cannot be divorced from this kind of treatment that we are seeing Senator Natasha experience. And I say that with data. Last year, the Women's Trust Fund and the Women's Center, some of those women groups, came out with a very, very exhaustive report, which showed, for instance, that in the North Central, where Kogi is, it has one of the most serious cases in Nigeria in terms of exclusion. They did focus group discussion and they discussed with women. So we're even talking about the data-driven identification of the systematic marginalization that women experience. So the story of Senator Natasha Akpoti is more like the exception. The fact that she had that resilience. In fact, some people even described her as even having to metamorphose to become a man in order to participate in the political process, which is not something, it's not a kind of system we should allow to continue. We should allow every voice to count. Now, going back to that recall process, I think, Abdullahi, this is also the role that misinformation is playing in our political process. And I'm writing a very exhaustive work on the problem of disinformation and how it sways the political pendulum. Now, if thousands of people could be made to line up and be told that they were coming out for empowerment, and then it turns out that signatures were being collected for a recall, should we not be interested as a people for a country where vote buying is a problem? The 2027 general elections, are approaching, and we are saying we want the credibility of the votes. We want the sanctity of the democratic process. We want the supremacy of the voices of the electorate to triumph over the shenanigans of people who feel they are one man or one woman institutions, who feel their will should override that of the electorate. If truly, and I don't begrudge anybody's right to initiate a recall, I don't, because this is a constitutional provision. But where have we seen a situation in which people would want to hoodwink and deceive people and then try to sway them to do something?
You don't think this is organic?
This is not organic. This is being contrived. This is being, and you can play the politics for all I care, but please stick to the due process. Let the people who are coming out know they are coming out for a recall. Let them be able to make an informed choice. And that's why I commend grassroots groups and mobilizers on the ground in Kogi. I'm not from Kogi. I'm from neighboring Edo states. But this also has national implications, just the way the situation in Rivers
Right.
The travesty in Rivers, the subversion of the constitution in Rivers has implication for Nigeria's democracy. So too is this scam ongoing that they call a recall process. Because if you were truly out to do the right thing, I mean, INEC has a role to play in this. So why would you blindside INEC that to the point that INEC had to come out to say, no, we're not aware of this, and then you have all those underhand dealings. Right. So it shows that corruption is fighting back in a sense. The forces of exclusivity who do not want inclusion, they are fighting back. The forces who do not want women's voices to be heard, the forces responsible for why we have just 4 women in National Assembly, they are at work. The forces responsible for why, even at the grassroots level, you have a situation in which women come out to say they want to participate, but they are restrained. This information is weaponized to make them not to participate. Right. These are the forces who are fighting, and these are the forces who are speaking against.
As one of our constituents, Adbulrazak, I just want to get your take on this one. I don't know if you took time to listen to our interactive session where a lot of callers seem to believe that, listen, even if these allegations are true, whether these allegations are true or not, for the greater good of Kogi Central, Senator Natasha needs to let this thing go and focus on her primary assignment of representation, quality representation for people. But it looks like this media tour that she's on right now has become her number one priority. Do you believe her constituents have the right to feel dissatisfied with the way she has conducted herself over the past couple of weeks?
We are not complaining. We are okay. When
you say we, who are you talking about?
Constituents. I'm not speaking as an outsider here. I'm speaking as someone who participates in the process that leads to her emergence. I am someone who has a direct bearing on the actions and inactions she is carrying out in the National Assembly. Anyhow you look at it. But I can tell you, we are more excited, we are more delighted, we are more positive that being a woman of integrity that led us to put everything at stake to ensure she emerged as the Senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria, to articulate, to express, to represent the interests of Kogi Central. She has not deviated. She has not delayed.
But you don't have representation for the next 6 months.
What she's seeing is a hindrance. That a limitation has been put for me to deliver to you people what you send me for. I cannot compromise my integrity as a married woman. She needs to speak up. Now we are clamoring for women apathy in politics or governance. The affirmation, 35% UN affirmation, has not been met in Nigeria. The few ones we have been subjected to silencing, has been subjected to ridiculous treatment. She has that. If you are saying that you suspend her for unruly behavior within the National Assembly, there are precedents of unruly behavior in the National Assembly. What is the punishment that has been meted for them? What is the process that led to the punishment? You see, National Assembly is supposed to be a conglomerate of intellectuals. You see, Plato of Antiquity once said, when the supremacy of a man coincides with the greatest wisdom, then the best law comes into play. Until philosopher becomes king and king becomes philosopher, there's no two way to happiness, either for individual or for what? Society. The men of leadership is supposed to be men of wisdom, knowledge. What we have seen in the display in the 10th Assembly is short of wisdom, is short of knowledge. It has taken us to beyond 2025. The world is watching us. Nigerian Senate is supposed to be a consulting institution for learners, for students who are looking for solutions to problems. It's supposed to be an institution of authority. So any display is not a marketplace. It's not a comedy, a house of comedy. Whatever is said there, whatever is displayed, is a precedence.
So you support every
institution
step.
has even handled the matter.
Yeah.
That leads to her suspension. It's an aberration.
Yeah. Okay. So first things first, some facts,
Yes.
right? The whole sitting arrangement conundrum.
Yes.
A lot of people say she has to take responsibility for that.
Yes.
She didn't conduct herself in the best way. It's a standard procedure. There's nothing wrong with that. She made some connections with Apabio, making advances to her. That is a whole kettle of fish. But the several media tours, the appearance at the IPU, the appearance on national media, the appearance on international media,
Yes.
do you justify that as someone who is trying to make amends or someone who is trying to sway public sentiment towards her?
In global events, globalization has compromised the sovereignty of every state. Where time and distance is not a barrier to communication. If you feel you cannot get justice here, in order to ascertain that justice, you seek it where there's an interlink across the world. Nigeria is expressly.
But Abdulrazak,
Nigeria is expressly signatory.
we understand.
Yes.
We understand
Yes.
that her husband is a close friend of the Senate President.
Yes.
She has said it on multiple occasions.
If her husband is if her husband is that a close friend, or a brother to Senate President, then Senator Karimi is now telling you that he is the one that begged on behalf of Senator Natasha she should be made a chairman Senate committee on local content.
Yeah, but
somebody whose husband are friends.
But that's beside the point. The point I'm trying.
Yes.
The point I was leading to is, we don't see her extending an olive branch. We don't see Senator Natasha trying to make amends. We see her only doubling down.
No matter how close I am to you, sir, or to anybody, if you want to be objective, what is worse than a man chasing your wife, allegedly?
Yeah, but he has not been proven yet. So
that in its entirety has balkanized any form of relationship. You do not, which means you don't respect.
So you would
that
take,
relationship you're talking about. So the relationship is dead or even before now.
So you don't think there's a more diplomatic approach to solving this problem between her and the Senate leadership, other than to go on media and disparage the Senate President over the allegations?
War will make the whole world go blind. I don't subscribe to the school of thought of war. I always feel that there are, in fact, some scholars define war for failure of diplomacy. So there are times where diplomatic, shuttle is required to solve a problem. But once, you are talking to the number 3 man, that in itself has the capacity to compromise any justices we are looking at.
Okay, all right.
So, in order for you to assert, to achieve such justice, justice is given to every man their due.
Okay.
When you say we need justice to be ascertained in this matter, we are not saying that Senator Natasha Apoto should not be investigated. We are saying that there should be an unbiased umpire. In Nigerian Constitution, there's what called Nemo Judesco in Kasaswa. You cannot be a judge in your own case. That someone should investigate unbiasedly and say this is what happened actor A, actor B, actor C. It has not within 24 hours. He said she should go 6 months. Why somebody, the accused, set up the committee, sat down on the matter, you have compromised justice.
Okay.
From the initial.
Everything is alleged at this point. Alleged that he did all those things that she said he did, and he also alleges that she did a whole lot of other things. But as we wrap up this conversation, Armsfree, I just want to get your take on. Adbulrazak seems to have done the maths. He said it's not possible. because the last vote count in the elections gave us less than 150,000. And if you're looking at 200 and something thousand plus, you might not get it. No one can actually tell. But what is the silver lining to this whole chaos that we've been witnessing? There are some Nigerians who are just simply tired of the Natasha conversation, and we do know that it is playing a significant role in this whole recall process. How do you see this ending, and what are the positives, if there are any, that you can identify?
Yes, I'm struggling to see the positives beyond the fact that we have seen somebody who is willing to put it all on the line, to interrogate the system and show the system for what it is, an unjust system, a system where the voices of the defenseless is muffled. And it is no surprise that from these same institutions we see policies that punish the Nigerian people instead of elevating the Nigerian people. So it is still that whole process of saying our institutions are not working for the benefit of the people. That's one point. The second point that you raised in the question to my very good friend here, when you were talked about the constituents, for them, what is now in this, given that this has escalated, it has gone international and all of that. I think Senator Natasha's constituents, beyond feeling the pain of an unjust, because she was not the one that sent herself on 6 months, you understand? An unjust process, gave her that very unjust outcome of 6 months, and that process is being challenged. As we speak, there are judicial kind of interventions that trying to challenge that. But beyond that is for us to ask the questions: should we be a cowardly people that at the slightest pressure we take the path of least resistance in the face of injustice, in the face of oppression? Because it's Senator Natasha today. It has been the Nigerian people since the return of our democracy that the democratic process has not delivered the dividends. And so are we arguing, in essence, that we should let the institutions be the way they are? We should not push for accountability. We should allow injustice to thrive. We should allow the abuse of power to continue to thrive. So while I understand the fact that the role of representation is critical, I make no mistake about the fact that we must move to create a better and perfect union. And part of that better and perfect union is ensuring we support people who are able to raise their voices, no matter the powers that be or the powers that are involved. So just the final point I would like to make has to do with the fact that this incident also tells us a very eloquent story about the quality of people we are electing across the country. So we must be interested not just in our own representatives, but people who are elected from other parts of the country, because collectively these people will come together to wield power. So the integrity and character and capacity and competence of the people we elect to leadership becomes more than ever before very critical.
Gentlemen, interesting conversation. I reckon the next couple of days and weeks will give us yet another perspective to this particular development. We unfortunately have run out of time. Armsfree Ajanaku, Executive Director of the Grassroots Center for Rights and Civic Orientation, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Honorable Adbulrazak, Mamman, spokesperson for Say No to Violence in Ibra Land. Political analyst, thank you so much for joining the conversation. It's good to see you. I appreciate you for the insights.